Sales can be intimidating and stressful, and that is exactly why I wanted to make this video, because there should be a way for us to play with sales and play with learning that invites the ability to engage with the entire process without feeling like we're being impinged on, like we have to make this sale or we have to win or we have to do it well. Obviously, we're always going to be looking for the close, but by practicing this game, it makes it so much more enjoyable. I've been doing this for years, and I do it almost every time I talk to somebody. I highly recommend that you start doing this with strangers, because this helps you to begin extracting nuggets out of people that you didn't know already. It helps you to help build rapport in other people, to help make strangers feel comfortable and quickly. It helps you gain the skill of taking somebody who has no idea or doesn't know anything about you at all and immediately make them feel like they are deeply connected with you. So basically what we're doing here is we're extracting the same principles around coaching and around sales and applying them into a new conversation with somebody. What we're really trying to do is figure out what somebody's dream is and how they can get there. So we'll always start, this will make sense here in a minute, but we'll always start the conversation with obviously the introduction and building rapport. What I immediately recommend doing is start using what and how questions. This invites a sense of curiosity and play. I also recommend practicing a tone of curiosity and play with what you're saying. Curiosity sounds like, ooh, what would that be like? And also play looks like expressiveness and gestures and smiling. And when you start using this, it automatically makes your own nervous system feel this way. And then this is expressed through your voice, and then it comes out on the other side and they feel like they're invited to feel a sense of play and curiosity as well. So what and how questions versus why. Why actually triggers the amygdala and the defense response. People feel like they have to explain themselves whenever we ask a why question. So again, we want to start with what and how versus why. What brought you out to this restaurant today? What are you looking to make for dinner tonight? How did you hear about this place? What do you think about X, Y, or Z? Questions like this are really fun and lighthearted, and you just start talking about things that you already know that you have in common with this person, which is the surroundings. It could be the store, it could be the weather, it could be the state, the city, it could be anything that you're wearing, anything, it doesn't matter. I think this is actually an important piece. It doesn't matter how you start the conversation, just initiate and engage. And then from that point, you start to filter into all these other areas. We just want to do so masterfully, and you'll learn how to do that here. So once we've got through the rapport and we have, built a little bit of connection, the conversation almost always turns to work. This is just what we do. What do you do for work? And usually most people say, and then they'll relate it to like, oh, my cousin does that, or oh, I don't know anything about what's that like. So that we're not going to do that. What we are going to do is we're going to tap into a little bit more about work, and we're going to use, again, what and how questions. One of my favorite questions to ask as a follow-up to that is, how did you start doing that? What does that look like? A couple other questions I really love using in these conversations are, what is something about your industry that you wish more people knew? You can get a lot of crazy insider info from doing this. I've learned a ton by doing that. And what has surprised you the most about this occupation, job, industry? Again, you will get crazy info and you will learn so much. And the more that you do this, the more you will learn just crazy things about jobs you never heard of, or things you just completely blow your mind. You're getting like the deepest level of insider knowledge here. And again, this is also why I say do this as much as you can, because it's just a cool opportunity to build a network and learn crazy stuff. So you started asking, what do they do, and how do they start doing that? And then what I love to ask at this point is, what is it about that you love? What is it that you love the most about that? Because usually their job is not necessarily the highest expression of themselves. It's a little heartbreaking. People have a different idea of what they want to be doing. So then you find out what is the value that they're expressing through their job, and then you see if there's other ways that that comes out. So it could be creativity, connection, growth, learning, evolution, all these different types of things. So you're taking their job and you're distilling it down to that value, and then you're turning that value into something else. So then you start asking, what are other ways that you express that value? Oh, it sounds like creativity is really important to you as a graphic designer. Do you do that? Do you express that in any other way? See if they paint, see if there's a musician or something like this. But you can do this with any industry, because people will also say like, oh, my job is just a job. What I really love doing is blank. And that's when we start tapping on some gold. And this is where the conversation really begins to shift. So one thing I like to ask is, what is ultimately the effect that you would like your life to have? So what is that energy that you're expressing, that value that's coming through work, and how do you want that to change the world? What is the effect you want that to have? Maybe it's on other people, maybe it's on the world at large, maybe it's in themselves, maybe it's in their family, but there's generally some way that that core value gets expressed through work, not necessarily professional work, but work. This is where we're starting to tap on the dream, the dream vision. What would that look like? What is it that what is the ultimate vision for your life? What do you really want for yourself? Then they start fleshing this out. And this is where we start having them sell us and themselves on their goal, their dream. Most people do have a gap between where they are and where they want to be. And they don't know, they have unconscious blocks around that. And this is where we start using the coaching and sales techniques to help remove them and help them find their way. This is what really revolutionized sales for me, because I used to think that sales was manipulative and coercive. And I've realized that great sales actually is great coaching, in the sense that it's helping somebody who has a problem and is in dire need of a solution. And as a salesperson, you're connecting them to that solution, understanding that they have unconscious blocks to that solution. They want to be in this relationship. They want to move cities. They want to start this job. They want to lose weight. Whatever the thing is, there's a goal and there's unconscious blocks that keep them there. And our job as both a salesperson and a coach is to help the other person remove those things so they can get to the life that they are craving so deeply. So once we've got an idea of what that vision is, we want to start we got the skeleton, we want to put some meat on the bones. So we ask questions like, oh, what would make you want to do that? What is it about that speaks to you? What makes that so important to you? And then they start explaining this. Again, they start selling us and themselves on this vision. And then you start asking some objection handling questions before the objections come up. If you had any sales training, you'll know what these look like, but you can start asking things like, how long have you been thinking about this? Have you tried doing this on your own? What have you tried in the past? So we start figuring out, have you ever spent any money on this, things before? Start asking questions like this, because it will prevent the objections at the back end. Again, we're starting to see how this looks more like a sales conversation. Again, this is where the play and curiosity tones really matter, because there's nothing at stake here. You're talking to a total stranger about something that they want for themselves. And playing with this will enhance your skills, your conversation skills, your networking skills, your sales and coaching skills dramatically. And this is why I really recommend you do this as much as you possibly can. Sometimes these conversations last 5 minutes, sometimes they last for a couple of hours. It really depends on my mood and what the person has going on. But I do this as much as I can. I really recommend you do as well. So once you started asking the objection handling questions, you start to you start to create a little shift here. And one of my questions that I like to ask is, wow, that sounds like you've got so much to give. You've got such a beautiful dream. What is it about it sounds like your current situation is just letting you express this a tiny bit. And then they'll say, oh yeah, it's just like this thing helps so that I can eventually do this thing. Again, asking questions like, how long have you been thinking about doing this? How long have you been putting it off? No, I wouldn't say put it off, but how long have you been thinking about doing this? Lets them recognize and tell themselves, oh yeah, I have been thinking about this for years. And you want to really probe into that, because people put stuff off forever, sadly. I mean, I know many people who have lived somebody else's lives. or lived someone else's life, and that honestly is heartbreaking. That's really why I love coaching, and I'm certain it's exactly why you like coaching and doing what it is that you do as well. So once we've done that, we want to start pushing this vision past their mind and their brain stem and into their body. And the way we do that is by asking feeling questions. So we start asking, what would it feel like to do X? What would it be like? What would it feel like to live in this new city, to ask this person out, to start writing, to be an author of a book? And we start asking that, and then we start asking more feeling questions about the effects of this thing, both on themselves, the people around them, and the people that they will encounter. So if they want to be an author, what would it be like for somebody else who has a dream similar to yours to read your book and see themselves in your book, and thus feel empowered that they can go on their own adventure? What would it feel like if you became an artist and somebody saw your art and said, oh my God, that speaks to me and it changed my life? What would it feel like to get a comment like that? We're trying to get it not only in them, but also in the people that they're going to be having an effect on. This helps to create actual social momentum, which drives us towards change. But we also want to create that internal momentum, which is why we want to ask the feeling questions within them. And then once we've really got them going and really riled up and built up on this, one thing that's also really fun is to start looping in strangers. If you're talking to a new person, there's probably going to be new people around you. Start asking them, do you think that this person should move to Germany and become an author? Do you think that this person should start their own business? What do you guys think about this? And it becomes so much fun because you're just building more momentum. And again, there's nothing at stake here. You're talking about a stranger about their freaking dream life. And it's so fun because you also can jog that in all the people that you encounter and bring them in here. If you want to do it at parties, it's a really fun thing to do. Make sure that we're having fun, because the next piece is you get to ask the really powerful question where you're creating this big nervous system gap where they had this big high, the feeling of, oh, I'm going to affect all these people and this is what the outcome could be. And then you ask, oh, it sounds like this is fantastic. What would it be like if you didn't? What would happen if you stayed right where you're at? And then we can start looping back into the questions we asked before, where they've put things off or they've been afraid. And this is where you can start bringing in more coaching and you can start helping them. Again, just start playing with this and you will see this unfold into different arenas. And one of my favorite things I've done is, getting people to immediately, pull out their phone and ask the person out to start researching, be like, oh, what does it cost to move to, Japan, or these different things. Or starting a group thread and saying, hey, what do you think about this idea that I'm having? Or start looking at business plans, or start asking ChatGPTs to create like a mock pitch or something like this. It's really fun to get people excited about this. Obviously, this is the huge peak motivation part, and then the real coaching would become with the behavior change. So that is a little bit separate, but in fact, if that's something that you want to do, you could take it and turn it into a sale. That's really up to you. The main thing that I want you to practice doing is just getting curious, having play, letting that be expressed. Talk to strangers, work your sales skills, work the objection handling, work the extraction, work the feelings and the vision out of somebody, and then let them know that, you actually have to bring reality to their face, because they have a vision, they have this idea, and they probably had it for a long time and they haven't taken action. And this is where they will tell you why, and this is where you can help them if they want to start moving through those objections. This is the art of sales. This is the art of coaching. I love doing this. Like I said, I do this at every opportunity possible. I recommend you do it as much as you can, and you will see it enhance your ability to not only sell, but to coach and just make yourself so much more magnetic. Let me know what you think about this. As soon as you do it, shoot me a DM. I would love to know the results, and happy coaching. Just enjoy doing what you do.